Welcome back, everyone. So in a previous video, I was asked to talk about the sump a little bit, and I'll do that since I always seem to talk about the tank and always keep the video above the tank. Figured I'd take you down below here, see what's going on. So in this far end, in the stand, I built the door you can open up, and this is where I keep the apex and all my cords nice and neat. That's a joke. They're not nice and neat. That's not very exciting, so I'll take it over to this side. So the tank has a center overflow, which drains down here, and the one on the left is my actual drain into the sump. And usually I'll have a filter sock on here for a few days, and I can easily take on and off with the connector there. The middle one is the return. I'll show you that a little bit better in a second. And the one on the right is an emergency drain, which drains right there. A few months ago, I had a green birdgrass somehow did a dive into the overflow box and ended up stuck right where that pipe curves, and water almost overflowed the tank if I hadn't been paying attention to it. So I ended up having to cut that tube out, pull that birdgrass out. That's when I put the emergency drain in there. So haven't had to use it so far. Hopefully it stays that way. So in the first chamber here, when the water drops out, I've got the big reef octopus protein skimmer. And today's what? Wednesday? I clean this out spotless on Monday. So this thing pulls a lot of junk out. I try cleaning it every Monday because I work Friday, Saturday, Sundays, and Monday's my first day off of the week, and that's tank cleaning day. So there's a little bit of live rock in here and just my show size aptasias, but they don't bother me. So the first chamber is pretty much just for the filter socks and the giant protein skimmer. So I'll move over to the second spot here. You can see what's turned into the refugium. And there's a whole lot of anthelia in there. I'll get you a better picture here in a second. And this is a 40 watt UV filter, or UV light. And the Fuge is powered by just one of those cheap old LED lights from China. Nobody complains, so I like it. So the refugium, let's see if I can get down here. It's kind of been an overflow for my corals too, because for some reason I've noticed in this tank that if my corals are starting to go south, I'll stick them down here in the sump for a few days and they seem to bounce back. It's amazing. So I've called it my magical sump. So it's got magical healing powers. Doesn't always work, but hey. And more aptasias. This is my aptasia growing ground. So that's what it is right now. That's how it looks right now. And then the last chamber is where I have my carbon reactor, and that sucker's full of carbon. If you guys remember a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, I had a crash where I lost a whole bunch of fish, where I rebounded by just jamming it full of carbon and cleaning it, new carbon every week, which is more than I usually do, but it's cleaned everything up. I got the return pump in there, nice and quiet. So the return pump pumps up, and then it splits off. And I think the first one is that carbon reactor. The second one's for the chiller, which I'll show you in a second. And there's a flow meter there for the return. Then it goes back up. I can't really see it. Into the tank, in the middle one. So last chamber is carbon reactor, return pump. There's all the apex probes and the auto top off over there. And then outside here I've got a reef octopus calcium reactor, which drips in right here at this rate. I've seen someone else with this rate and I just kept it, and it's doing fine. This week, I mentioned Mondays is my maintenance day, and I check my alkalinity and calcium and all that. Not really calcium as much as alkalinity, But it's been maintained about 9 point whatever for the last 3 or 4 weeks, which is great. Any consistency is good. This week it jumped up to, it's at 11.3 right now. So I shut off the CO2. No bubbles in the bubble counter, but we're still dripping in there. So I'll leave it like this for until Monday and check it one more time, see if that does any big difference. So there's the massive CO2 tank, and there's the chiller. Doesn't really come on ever, but I like it where I can just see the temperature right there. So that is the sump of the 220. I give you a tour of the sump for the 110 gallon, but that's about it right there. Protein skimmer, same thing. Look at that. Since, like I said, today is what? Wednesday? Monday. Couple days. But nothing fancy. Just the basics. People always ask, how big of a sump do I need? Just enough to put your equipment in that you want. That's it. Easy money. And the auto top off. 75 gallon. But sneak peek at the what used to be called the frag tank. Now it's just another reef tank apparently. Mostly softies. Puffer. Doesn't mess with anything. He's just cool. And then massive elegance. But that's it. Wasn't supposed to be a video about the frag tank, but there it is. And that's about it. This is almost gone 7 minutes. So one of my longest videos so far. Oh, real quick, what I did was I pulled a bunch of I pulled all my GSP off of this side. This is probably going to start overtaking those acros and stuff. Those are doing pretty good so far, so hopefully it keeps up. But as you can see, GSP is just taking off in this tank, growing all over the place, which I don't mind. I like it, but I just want to kind of keep it separate to the SPS and acros back there. Let them do their own thing without being interfered by, softies and GSP and stuff. So I pulled it out and just stuck it out right here. But anyway, that's the sump. Thanks for all the comments. You guys are cool. And keep it up, and I will see you all shortly.